Thank you very, very much for inviting friends to appear today. We have many worthy causes appealing for support, and I'm here to talk about the news, which is related in so much as the news is what brings the plight of these various industries to Canada's attention. Now, last week, investors linked to Postmedia bought Torstar, once an exceedingly profitable journalism juggernaut, for a mere $51 million. This acquisition sets the stage for a duopoly in Canadian print media. But today, I'd actually prefer to talk to you about another duopoly, Google and Facebook, that is systematically exterminating Canadian journalism. Because of Google and Facebook, our concern today is not whether there will be enough Canadian media outlets left, but whether there will be any at all. In 2019, digital advertising was a $7.7 billion business in Canada. Google and Facebook took almost 85% of that. And the remainder, well, COVID-19 has cut Canada's share by more than half. Since mid-March, more than 2,000 media jobs have been lost, bringing the 10-year total close to 20,000. At least 300 outlets are gone for good. Hundreds more have cut staff and service. This market dynamic, however, is not natural. It's the result of policy choices made over 15 years.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Peter. I think I'm hearing double speaking, same as you as well.
Exactly. I have an echo on my end. I'm not sure if it's the case for the
others. Just maybe, Danielle, if you just slowed down a little bit, see what happens.
Sure. Is that better?
Okay, yet.
Okay, it's possible someone is not on mute. In recent years, Parliament has debated how to support Canadian journalism, and many members are justifiably worried about government subsidies compromising newsrooms' perceived impartiality. But there are other options, and today I would like to highlight one that won't cost a dime. Facebook is Canada's #1 news source, and news is actually the #1 reason Canadians use Facebook, according to Abacus data. Yet Facebook itself produces no news. They don't employ a single journalist. Instead, they free ride on the investment and talent of Canadian newsrooms by taking their content without permission or payment and selling it as their own at a steep discount. Some would call this theft. At the very least, it's a parasitic and unfair practice that fatally distorts the market. I challenge you to think of one other industry in which one or two firms are permitted to raid their competitors' output without even asking, let alone paying, and then resell it as their own for a fraction of the price. I, for one, can't think of any. Yet this is exactly what Facebook does millions and millions of times a day. Today, Friends is proud to be launching a national advertising campaign called Wanted, featuring the poster that appears behind me, to alert Canadians to Facebook's unfair news appropriation practices and to rally support for urgent, reasonable regulations that would require these platforms to pay Canadian newsrooms a fair price for their content they publish, much as radio stations pay royalties for music they broadcast. I refer you to newsthief.ca or ilnouvelle.ca for more details. In April, Australia became the most recent country to enact such measures, and Canada should do the same. Let's be clear, Canadians value Canadian news and consume it in great quantities. Profits may have plummeted, but readership has remained strong and is now even stronger thanks to COVID-19. Canadians understand that Uncle Larry's off-the-cuff opinions are no substitute for professional reporting, just as Uncle Larry's hot takes are no substitute for thoughtful, professional, parliamentary deliberation. Our appetite for news has not changed. All that's changed is who gets paid. It used to be the people who create the value. Now it's the parasitic middlemen who create none. If you value free markets, as I do, this situation should concern you greatly. Recent events have shown that Facebook could not be a less deserving company of such artificial competitive advantages. A recent Leger survey found that 53% of Canadians believe at least one COVID conspiracy theory that circulates widely on Facebook. And this is not an accident. Facebook was recently exposed for proactively helping advertisers to target people interested in pseudoscience so that those most susceptible to COVID lies would be most likely to encounter them. This practice is not just immoral, It undermines Canada's unprecedented and unprecedentedly expensive public health efforts. Recently, Facebook's response to police brutality and protests against them have caused employees to walk out on $300,000 salaries because they just can't stomach working there anymore. What happens in Canada matters. Your work matters. The work that happens in provinces matters. Local news matters. Media is the only way for us to maintain a common national identity across great distance, and news is the only way for us to participate together in a unified democracy. Australia's approach befits a confident, sovereign nation. It's time for Canada to prove that we belong in that league. No single action will solve the news crisis, but requiring Google and Facebook to pay for the news they use is a very good first step. This is something you can do to drive extra revenue to Canadian media without spending a dime of public money. I strongly encourage you to take up this policy without delay and look forward to answering any questions you might have about how best to do so. Thank you very much.